Now this chicken pot pie is the ultimate in comfort food. This is one of those great like dump and go recipes. Use up your leftovers, use whatever you have on hand. But this is also a really great recipe that I like to take to people who are maybe having a baby or moving in or moving away. A great recipe to take to a friend. Welcome back. I'm Jill with the CarefreeKitchen.com, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my favorite recipe for chicken pot pie. There's this thick, rich gravy with mixed vegetables and big chunks of chicken, and it's all wrapped inside of a beautiful flaky pie crust. This recipe is made from scratch. There's no cans or cream of anything. There are a few ingredients, and I'll show you some easy tips and tricks along the way, so stay tuned for my favorite recipe for chicken pot pie. Okay, so for this recipe, there's a few things you can do to modify that are super simple. I'm starting off with some diced chicken breast, some raw chicken breast, but you can definitely make this with some leftover rotisserie chicken or some leftover chicken breast from another meal. And then also I'm using just some frozen mixed vegetables, and it's a super easy way. On the crust, you have a few variations. Today I'm using a flaky pie crust. For the ingredients, this is what you're going to need. These are the pie crust I'm using, and this is just like a Pillsbury pre-made pie crust. You can definitely use a homemade from scratch pie crust, but this is a way to make it just a little bit quicker. And then I have some milk, and this is going to give it a really pretty golden glaze on top. And for my chicken breast, I'm just using some cut up chicken breast. These are about 3/4 inch big, and then I will be cooking that in some avocado oil with some salt and pepper. We'll be deglazing the pan with a little bit of butter, and then these are just some diced onions, 1 medium onion, 2 teaspoons of garlic or 2 cloves of garlic minced. To thicken it, I'm using just a little bit of cornstarch, and I'll show you how to make a slurry here. These are just frozen mixed vegetables. They are super easy to use. And then we have a little bit of heavy cream and some chicken bouillon. There's a couple things you can use here. There's chicken bouillon or the Better Than Bouillon, the chicken base. It's super easy to use and I think has a little bit better flavor than the chicken bouillon cubes. And then I have chicken stock here, a couple cups, and some fresh thyme. For the pie crust, this is really easy to do. I like to put just a little bit of flour down. We will just slowly unroll this very gently. And this one's going to be for the bottom crust, and then I will also show you how to do a lattice on the top. Just a little bit of flour, and then I just like to roll it out a little bit here. And then to roll this up, to put it into the pie crust, I just fold it over the rolling pin, unroll it over pie plate. So it should hang over the edges just a little bit, 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch. You can just play with it a little bit to make it even all the way around. And now that one is ready. I'm going to show you how to get started on the lattice. Another really great variation to this recipe is to put your chicken pot pie filling right into your glass dish without a crust. And then you can freeze it if you want, or you can, this is just a fun variation, but you can get the stovetop stuffing, just the instant mix, and mix that up and then crumble it on top before you bake it. And it is so good that way too. I'm going to slice it or just kind of eyeball it, and you can do 3/4 inch, 1 inch. You can do varied widths, and that makes it kind of more of a rustic pie. It's kind of fun to do kind of a thicker one down the middle. There we go. Okay, now for the filling, we are going to add our avocado oil to a large Dutch oven. And once that is hot, you can add the diced chicken and then just season that with some salt and pepper and cook it no longer pink in the center of your chicken. Remove the cooked chicken from the skillet and just set that aside. Add some butter to the same pan and melt it over medium heat while stirring the bits of chicken off the bottom of the pan. Now add the minced onion and cook until the onions are translucent. Add the garlic and cook for about 2 more minutes. Add the chicken broth and the bouillon base to the pan and then bring that to a simmer. To prepare the thyme, I like to pinch the top of the thyme stem and then just pull the leaves off. Then you can use a knife and just easily dice that up. To make a cornstarch slurry, you're going to add your cornstarch to a small bowl and then add cold water, and it must be cold water. and then just gently stir that until the slurry is nice and smooth and there's no longer chunks. Then you can add it to your broth mixture. Just gently stir it until it starts to boil, and then you can add in your thyme, your cream, your mixed vegetables, and your chunks of chicken, and go ahead and give that a little stir to combine it fully. It's okay if you don't cook your vegetables now, it will have plenty of time to cook in the oven. Now you can just pour your chicken pot pie mixture into your prepared pie crust, and then going to add the lattice topping. I like to add the lattice topping starting in the middle and then go out to the sides. Just gently place it on top and then fold down every other strip halfway, and we're going to make this basket weaving pattern. This takes a little bit of practice, but it's actually not hard, and it turns out so pretty and is so impressive. Just go ahead and finish that off. And then I like to trim the edges pie crust and then gently fold under the edges of the pie crust. And just do that all the way around the chicken pot pie. Next, I'm going to use my thumb and my 2 fingers on my other hand and gently crimp the outside of the chicken pot pie. Now to finish this off, we're going to add little dots of milk on top and then bake it in a 400-degree oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. And you will know it's done when the edges are bubbling and the top is golden brown and the edges are golden brown. This really makes such a beautiful chicken pot pie. This classic homemade chicken pot pie is the ultimate comfort food, and it's easier to make than you might think. It's got a flaky pie crust and thick and creamy sauce full of juicy chicken and wholesome vegetables. Okay, now it's time for the taste test. Look at that thick, rich, creamy gravy and the big chunks of chicken. And one of the best parts of this recipe is that it has the mixed vegetables on it, so there's not a lot of chopping involved. Check out that yummy, flaky, golden pie crust. Gotta get the perfect bite, a little bit of vegetables, the gravy, and a big chunk of chicken. I mean, this takes me right back to my childhood of chicken and gravy and vegetables. There's nothing better than comfort food made at home, and this recipe could not be easier. I hope you enjoyed this recipe for my favorite chicken pot pie. And of course, there are some recipe variations on my website. You can check it out. There's a link in the description. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow me here, and I will show you all kinds of fun and easy recipes that your family will love. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.